From this moment on, you will now be known as Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh-ha-ha!
Welcome, brother Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh-ha-ha!
Enough with the Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh, well.
What's up, YouTube? This is D from Brooklyn coming to you with my little unboxing review of the King of Aqua Garden CO2 system. So let's take a look at what we got here. Here we go. We want to start off with the disposable CO2 canister. It's 95 grams. Should be enough for me. I'm going to test it out in my 20-gallon tank. And it's very well made, very hardy construction. Alright, now let's go to the regulator. The regulator is pretty heavy for a regulator of its size, but basically you need this to control the amount of CO2 going into your aquarium. The controls are pretty cut and dry. You got your shutoff valve, and that's pretty much it. It's not automatic or electrical. Here you got the stand. The CO2 stand is made just right for the canister. If I can get it out, you just stand it up in there. Voila, you have your stand. Alright, here's your bubble counter. Nothing fancy, just your typical bubble counter here. Has a suction cup so that you can stick it on the side of the aquarium. It's pretty it's decent, nothing fancy. I'm never a fan of suction cups, but this will do the job and it comes with the kit. And over here we have the CO2 atomizer. Oh, actually this is the check valve. I'm thinking of the so the CO2 doesn't go back into the tank. This would be the atomizer. Basically it's just a bubbler. You know, your CO2 is going to get dispersed via that bubbler, aka a little air stone. And it's pretty well made. It's nothing fancy, but you know, it's easy to hide in the tank, so that's definitely a plus. And it has a little suction cup for sticking it on the tank wherever, behind the rocks or on the glass, and yada yada yada. So that's it. And it's all you need to get started with your CO2 introduction into your tank. So let me get everything together here and put it together. Alright, let me get some light here because I can't see a damn thing. Alright, let me take everything out of the box, starting with the CO2 cartridge. I'll get the regulator and just fiddle around here, get that out of the box. Let me put it in the stand. The stand has a little adhesive so you can stick it down to your stand or your hood or your tank or whatever. But I don't know if I'm going to use that, but let me first just screw this regulator onto the cartridge. There's no bad way to do it. You want to make sure your valve is closed first before you screw it onto the cartridge. So let me just make sure that's closed. Okay, and your pressure gauge is at 0. It has the safe range of pressure in the red area. Let me just screw it on there. It's nice and slow. It goes on easily, so there's nothing complicated about that. You'll screw it on there till you hear a little click, which means you've actually released the CO2. Bang, there you go. It's on there and your gauge will go up into the green area. So you can see that here. If I get a good shot, that means it is ready for phase 2. Alright, attaching the hose. So I'll just stand this here and we'll get into the other components. Now, I got a bubble counter here. I don't think that's the one I'm going to be using because I already actually had a glass bubble counter. But this one I'll keep because you never know. I may decide to go with that down the road or tee it off or something. And here's the check valve. So the check valve is going to protect your CO2 canister from any backwash or water from the tank going back in your canister. So you're going to hook that in between your bubble counter and the cartridge, and it actually shows you which way is out to cartridge. See, it says out. You know, I don't know if you can get a good shot there. Take my word for it, it says out. Alright, so since I'm using my own glass bubble counter and it has the atomizer built in all into one, I'll save those pieces for later. So now let me get my ducks in a row, and that's everything. It has everything that you need to get started. I bought a big old canister, which was a pain in the neck. So thank you, Mike from Mass Aquariums, for giving me this prize here. And here is a close-up of the bubble counter that I'm going to use. I had it already. I wasn't using it. It's everything in one, so I can see the bubbles as they're coming up, and it diffuses them at the same time. And it looks fancy. So there's the diffuser, rather the atomizer, which basically takes your larger bubbles. such as this, and breaks it up and makes it into the fine mist of bubbles. I'll just take the suction cup and fix that on there. I won't bore you with watching me put it in the tank, but that'll hold it into place, and I'll put it in the base of my planted tank. So let's go to the tank. We got the hose, which is rather important. I don't want to forget that. This is old hose. I'm going to cut it off and make the edge bigger. There's a lot of hose I had laying around. It's kind of crappy, so let me get some scissors and cut this piece off. You know, when you got tanks, you end up with tons of junk all over the place, so I know damn sure I'm not going to buy hose. I'm sure I got 100 yards of hose in here. I'll just cut the tip off here and make a nice connection. And let's take it to the tank here. So first you want to measure how much hose you're going to need. Good rule of thumb, get more than enough hose. You can always cut it back if it's, you know, too long, but if you make it too short, you can't stretch it. So you want to take more than enough. You want to plan out where you're going to put the cartridge so that you know how much hose you need. For my purposes, I'm going to just stick this bubble counter down in the tank. Another thing, when you got tanks, you always end up with wet arms. I think that's in a good spot there, well behind the rock, so you can't see it, but it gives me enough space to see that the bubbles are counting and a place to place the CO2 canister. So let me just cut this line of hose here. Alright, the line is cut. You're going to put the connection from the canister onto the hose before you try to connect it. So let me get the canister and make sure that I take the hose lock off and put it onto the airline hose. Believe me, you'd be surprised. I've done it the opposite way before. It happens. So let me just put that onto the airline. Alright, now you want to squeeze that onto the regulator connection and then screw down the airline lock onto the hose nice and tight. You don't need pliers. And voila, that is done. Alright, give it a good twist. Make sure it's on there good. And that's it. Pretty simple. I like this kit because, like I said, I bought a bigger canister. It was a pain in the neck. The regulator never made a good connection. I got pissed off and I basically sat the canister on the floor and never touched it again. Probably half the air leaked out, but this one went in, no problem. I'm adjusting it. I could see the air. I could see the CO2 coming out nice and easy. No problem, no leaks. Let me just put this in place now and give you a close-up. So there is the bubble counter. You can see I got it on the lowest setting because since, you know, I'm starting this tank new on CO2, I don't want to go out of the gate with 2 bubbles a second or whatever. I want to ease it into the CO2. Let me give you a close-up. I want to ease it in so that I get like 1 bubble a second, maybe less. There you can see the bubbles coming up. 1, 2, 3. And the good thing that I like about this diffuser is it gives it a little bit of water contact time because it goes around a little spiral and it diffuses it really fine. If you can see the bubbles, they're really fine. And that's the way I want to set out, you know, anything you introduce into your tank new, you want to take your time, ease it in, see how the plants and the fish react to it. And it never hurts to do too little. You can always crash everything if you do too much, but too little is good. And I'm keeping the air in the tank. I got the bubbler going. If you can see, I got the bubbler going because I don't have it shut off like electronically with a timer. So I don't want this thing killing my fish at night because, as you know, with photosynthesis, the plants use oxygen at night. So there we go. Quick installation, nice and simple. You can't go wrong. For that contest win, that was definitely a win-win, and I'm shouting out Mike 100 times because there you go, bam, it's on the tank. It took not even a half an hour. It's nice and small so you can hide it. I'll probably stash it behind there somewhere. I'll sit it on my filter for now. It's above the water line, so that's also a good thing. I don't have to worry about the check valve. I'm going to put the check valve on after the fact. I'll shut it off and do that, but for the sake of time, I thought I'd just show you how easy it is to connect this. I got a lot of extra line here. I can hide that behind the tank. But boom. How easy is it to set up the ST International King of Aqua Garden CO2 system? I'm not a paid endorser. I just got it in the contest. I'm thanking Mike because it's awesome. It's easy to use. And I'll keep you guys posted on how the plants and things react. I'm going to trim back this pothos and give the new plants. I'm going to put some new plants. I have the Ritala and stuff in there and see how they react to it. I'm going to stash this stuff in the box because I'm not using that. I'll put the check valve on it in about 5 minutes. I'll do that off camera, you know, because I don't want any water backflush or whatever. And I have it, so why not use it? But yeah, the system is great. It's easy. Nothing better than something that's easy to use and doesn't present an eyesore. So there is my CO2 installation on the tank. I'll keep you guys posted, man. CO2 system by ST International is a win-win. It retails for about $100, so you can't go wrong. And that's it, bro. Thank you. Click subscribe and see ya.